Hello. I have decided that I'm publishing my latest book now, and it is a book that I think has a message that desperately needs to get out there based on so much experience. The title of my newest book is Real Women Change the World, Letting the Good Girl Die so the Real Woman Can Live. I have been working with women for over 30 years as a therapist, working with patients, and as an executive leadership coach, working with women who are CEOs, entrepreneurs, as well as women running multi-million dollar organizations in New York City. And I have consistently found the same issues, the same methods of self-betrayal, the same problems that are going on. So consequently, in writing this book, I have recognized the need to get it out there more and more, even girlfriends who I love dearly. There are so many issues that we need to look at that differentiate the good girl from the real woman. Consequently, real women change the world, letting the good girl die so the real woman can live. And why that title? Truly, if looking at something the Dalai Lama says that women need to get out there and become more socially active. He's also said, Western women shall change the world. We don't have the ability to change the world unless we have the ability to first be who we truly are. When we are caught up in being the good girl, we're caught up in betraying who we truly are. And I say that because the difference between the good girl and the real woman is pretty significant, pretty large. The good girl's focus in life is to live up to the expectations of who she should be based on everybody else's expectations for her. The good girl is governed by other people's needs and wants to the extent that her needs and wants become insignificant and eventually so invisible even she loses sight of them. What happens if you can visualize this, if you can remember this, if you're a woman, look back on your own journey, because although this book is addressed to women, it's not only women who have some of these issues, but primarily women. Men and women betray themselves differently. Men and women get in their own ways differently. And so this book is addressed for women and those men for whom this may be applicable. But the good girl is one who is so frightened of saying what she thinks for fear it may hurt somebody, for fear it may offend somebody, for fear it may be something somebody doesn't want to hear. The good girl is somebody who has no ability to say no, who may be absolutely overwhelmed, especially this time of year, with all the things she is doing for everybody, and yet no matter what is asked of her, because she wants to be nice, she wants to be good, she will say yes. And she will end up getting so overwhelmed, so depressed, so anxious, and so out of touch with anything about what her own needs are emotionally, spiritually, and physically, because she will be so busy doing and taking care of every single person she knows. And for a woman like that, everybody knows who she is. So when they can't find somebody, they'll say, let's call so-and-so. She always says yes. And so there she goes. She's conditioned everybody to recognize she's available. And what ends up happening is the depression, the anxiety, the resentment, the anger, and eventually it all comes out. Eventually it blurts out. She may spend an hour every 6 months yelling and screaming and letting out every single thing that's happened to her over the past 6 months. But as soon as she's finished, she collapses back into guilt and the desire to be the good girl again and to make everybody happy. The difference with that is the real woman. The real woman recognizes, whether as an adolescent, whether as an adult woman, or later on in life, where some difficulty or trauma has happened, and she recognizes she has no choice but to come into her own. The real woman may have a huge heart and a huge desire to serve, But simultaneously, she has no difficulty in setting boundaries. She has no difficulty in saying, no, I am just overloaded. I can't do that today. I'm sorry, I can't take that on. And she does not feel guilty about it. She gives from her fullness, but she doesn't even allow herself to move into her depletion. So consequently, giving from depletion is not something that would cross her mind. She is a woman who is willing to take risks. She's willing to be a pioneer. She's willing to live out of the box. She's a go-getter. She makes things happen. She's following her dream. She's following her passion. She follows her vision. And if she knows what her spiritual purpose is, what she's here to do, she goes and does it. She jumps in and becomes the woman she's called to become. She jumps in and moves into life. She becomes alive. She becomes passionate. She becomes full of vibrancy. And she lets her fullness out. She is not afraid of being too much. She's not afraid that being everything she is going to intimidate somebody, so therefore she holds it back. She also shares her thoughts. As I've said often to some people, do not ask me a question if you don't want an answer. Because how many of us have asked a question or been asked a question, and then when we gave an answer, they have been offended or angry at us because our response didn't match what they wanted? How many of us have worked to be kind and loving and have ended up being in a position where we were so overextended, things started falling through the cracks? That would be the good girl. Again, the real woman would say, I'm sorry, but I can't. And she would do it with love, and she would do it with compassion, but compassion for herself and love for herself. It then gives her the ability, it gives her the time, it gives her the energy to become the trailblazer the real woman is called to be, to become that woman who can achieve things for herself, who can give in love, who can succeed if she chooses to succeed in business or in any way, whatever success means to her. The real woman recognizes and on occasion is caught up in that tendency to be a good girl, but she recognizes that she's moving into self-betrayal and she stays in the world of the real woman. She stays that woman who truly wants to be everything she's called to be. She wants to live in her truth. She may be frightened of speaking her truth on occasion, but she does it nonetheless because she knows if she doesn't, she's betraying herself. It is so important to take a look at this thus writing of this book. It is really to give those real women who want to make a difference, who want to become pioneers, who want to step out and make a difference in the world. Those who are called to be leaders. And it doesn't matter in a leader in what. It could be a leader in a group of 3. It could be a leader in a multi-billion-dollar company. It's irrelevant. When we own our leadership, we have to own our ability to be a real woman because it means setting boundaries. It means confronting people. And there's a difference there. The real woman learns the difference between conflict and confrontation. When you are empowered, when you are in your truth, and I truly believe all of us are intrinsically holy and good. So when you are empowered, when you are living in the truth of who you are as a real woman, not against anybody, but for yourself, for your truth, you recognize that only when you're in fear do you go into conflict. Only when you are in fear do you look for a fight, do you look to battle, do you look to win. When you are feeling comfortable and solid, there is no need for conflict. Conflict comes about by people in fear. People who are in power confront issues. They don't confront people. They confront issues. We have a problem here and we need to find a solution. There are no bad guys, only a problem. So powerful women, real women, learn to confront. They recognize on occasion when they wake up in a bad place, a bad mood, they want to take on battle. But they know that's their stuff. It's not the stuff of the person they live with. It's not the stuff of their clients, their vendors, or their friends. And they take the time to sit down, what is really going on, resolve it within themselves because it has nothing to do with the other. And when you come back into power, when you let go of the fear or the sadness or whatever was calling you to that, You are then able to confront a difficulty and avoid any concept of conflict. There's no resolution in conflict anyway. Conflict is simply about winning. It's not about resolution. Another piece I want to point out, that when women move into the real woman stage of life, and not for a moment do I want to say this is a statement, we're all human. We all fall back into that moment where we feel like a victim, or we feel like we want total control of the planet, or we just are filled with anger and rage and we want to take it out on the first person that goes by. We're all human. The difference is, as a real woman, you know when that comes up and you know it's about you, not somebody else, and you deal with it. So the next point I want to point out for the real woman is the contrast between power and control. Real women are called to be powerful because they are called to be leaders. If the Dalai Lama is right and the Western women will change the world, or that women need to have much more impact on the planet, they can only do it when they are empowered. They can only do it when they are real. And that means knowing the difference. Powerful people never want to control. Anybody who is struggling for control is somebody in fear. And their belief is that if they gain control of a situation, they will be safe. Powerful people have no desire to control. They don't want to control another. It's too exhausting. They don't want to control the situation. They are powerfully going to direct it. But they are not going to waste their time. One of the things I tell my clients frequently is that when I run into an obstacle, I don't fight it. I simply walk around it. When somebody tells me with a PhD certified in nine methods of integrative healthcare that I don't know anything, it makes absolutely no sense to argue with them. I will say, thanks, that's one opinion, walk around them and just keep on going. Life is far too short to need to control somebody else's opinion of me. It's far too short to need to control anybody. When we come into power, we're about change, we're about growth, we're about transformation. And we don't fight. We don't fight for control because it's a waste of time and energy. All of this is because I believe every one of us on this earth is called to leadership. And leadership is not in opposition to. Leadership is about transformation, it's about change, it's about making things happen. So take a look at already what I've shared. That the good girl spends her time trying to become everything others want her to be. She doesn't give an opinion on things because she's frightened of offending somebody. She doesn't give opinions on things because she doesn't want to make a mistake. She won't give an opinion on something because she doesn't want to hurt anybody's feelings, even if they asked a question. She also has no permission to have boundaries and say no, because a good girl doesn't say no. She always gives. She never sets boundaries. The good girl is always pleasant and kind, even when somebody is being offensive to her. The good girl will always take it and be abused so that she doesn't hurt the abuser's feelings. A real woman steps into another direction. A real woman knows who she is. She knows she is no better than and no worse than anybody else. A real woman knows she is here with a purpose. She's here to have an impact. She's here to have influence. And she's here to make a difference, to leave this world a better place. And she does it any way she knows how. This book is all about supporting you, understanding the ways in which you play the good girl, the ways in which you betray yourself, and the steps you need to take, the things you need to do, the ways you can transform who you are in order to become the real woman you're meant to be. Through the development of emotional intelligence, noticing, there's a whole chapter that I will go through. I'm going to do a series every Friday for the next 12 weeks, giving little snippets of each of the chapters, because I truly want to get this message out. We need to develop emotional intelligence. We need to know what our triggers are. We need to know what the triggers are of the people we work with, the people we love. And we need to know when we're pressing them just to be cruel and powerful or controlling. We also need to know when somebody's touching our triggers or when we're touching our own triggers, so we can step away, go back, practice mindfulness, step into inner peace, go into mindfulness, go into quiet, go into reflection. And in mindfulness, we are always at peace. We are always in a state of power, never in control. We are always willing to confront issues as they come up because we recognize that if we don't confront issues as they come up, they build and build, and eventually they become a major problem. We also have permission to exist. If we are going to become women who have a seat in the boardroom, who have a seat on this as a CEO, or have a seat in any organization, just getting the seat is only the first step. The most important part is having impact. And we can't have impact unless we are real women. Thank you so much. I hope this has informed you a bit about who you are and what you need to look for. And I'll be seeing you next Friday. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.